Possum is vicious.
When I started this channel, I could have never imagined it would reach these heights. Even with a totally inconsistent upload schedule, you guys always find the time to drop a nice comment or pop into the Discord server, and it truly means the world to me. In honor of 10,000 subscribers, I thought I would do a more personal video and rank my top 10 albums of all time. Some of these are albums I've talked about already, and some I plan to talk about in more detail in the future, so I'll try to keep this brief, which is not my strong suit.
I was just calling you back to let you know that I love you and I miss you.
About 2 years ago, I did a video on Lizzy McAlpine's debut album, Give Me a Minute, and why I thought that album was a masterpiece, and I still stand by everything I said in that video. At only 21 years old, Lizzy McAlpine released a beautifully heartbreaking album with some of the best songs I've ever heard. Her songwriting and production are just incredible and still managed to bring me to tears after all these years. The central theme of this album is heartbreak, the heartbreak of relationships, the heartbreak of losing loved ones, and the heartbreak of losing yourself in the process. My favorite songs from this project are still Nothing Sad and Stuff, Same Boat, and Headstones and Landmines. Nothing Sad and Stuff features my favorite lyrics on the whole project with,
I'm not sorry that I loved you till I couldn't breathe.
In this one simple line, she conveys so much emotion. The thought of loving somebody so much and so hard that we find it difficult to breathe is a feeling we all know too well. Same Boat is a gorgeous piano ballad about the uncertainty of a relationship, feeling so strongly about someone and being terrified that they don't feel the same way. Headstones and Landmines is about grief and coping with the loss of a loved one, and I haven't heard better lyrics that perfectly capture that feeling.
The books don't say sorry, they don't crowd and touch. They're just observers collecting their dust. They know that nothing they say is enough, so they don't say anything.
Every song from this album is amazing. Apple Pie, Pancakes for Dinner, How Do I Tell You? I cannot fully express how superb this project truly is. You'll just have to listen for yourself if you already haven't. Lizzy McAlpine's Give Me a Minute is a marvelous, modern masterpiece, and one of my favorite albums of all time.
I'm just hurt. Late nights, I just cry.
When Some Rap Songs was announced, I wasn't in the best place mentally. I was going through a lot of drastic change in my life, and this album helped me get through it. Some Rap Songs truly stands out in Earl's discography, and while he's no stranger to opening up and getting personal, this album took that to new heights. Some Rap Songs dives headfirst into Earl's depression, isolation, and helplessness, and the lyrics are so blunt and emotionally draining. And that's not a critique, I happen to love how straightforward he comes across on this album. Standing at 15 tracks, 25 minutes long, he doesn't take his foot off the gas for a second. It's non-stop rapping until the outro, Riot. My favorite song on this project is Azucar. I love the instrumental, I love the muffled vocals, but most importantly, I love what Earl has to say on this song. There's religious imagery, talks of addiction and substance abuse, and an overall unsettling feel. The same can be said about the album as a whole. What is it Earl wants us to take away from this project? It's such an unfiltered, vulnerable moment for him, and it almost feels as if we're overstepping a bit, learning so much about where he was at mentally. The lead single to this project, Nowhere to Go, captures this just as well, with Earl speaking on how he's been depressed most of his life, and how his music has helped other people in similar situations, yet it doesn't really make him feel better. Some rap songs will leave you feeling lost, maybe even scared for Earl and yourself, but as we've been lucky to see in his later music, things can and will get better. Some Rap Songs is one of my favorite albums of all time.
I'm gonna kill myself! Wow. I'm going to kill myself and it's your fault!
10 is probably the greatest debut rock album ever, right? This is a project I haven't gotten a chance to talk about yet on the channel, and it's such a shame it's taken this long because this album is really special to me. Besides it being beyond influential as a staple of rock and grunge music, it's also an album that my cousin and I bonded over. The loud guitars, the hard-hitting drums, and Eddie Vedder's amazing vocal performances. The themes of this album can be rough, diving into topics like depression, suicide, loneliness, and even murder. My personal favorite song on here has always been Alive, the lead single to the album. While the song is mixed with true and fictional events, the song is about Eddie discovering that who he thought was his father is actually his stepfather. And then we derail from reality when his mother's grief leads to an incestuous relationship with him because he resembles his biological father. Eddie Vedder has said despite the true meaning of the song, fans turned it into an anthem about being alive, and he says when they changed the meaning, they broke the curse. The band has expressed many times how much they hate the mixing on this project, but would you call me crazy if I told you I loved it? I don't know, man, messy mixes don't work for most music, but it works for me here. Black is probably the best song off the album, and because of that, the band also hates it. But it's so beautifully tragic, I can't help but get emotional every time I hear it. 10 is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I decided not to do number scores in this video, but this album just decided to do it for me.
Happy birthday, Raven! Okay, sweet.
Similar to Pearl Jam's 10, Swimming is an album I've kind of avoided talking about on the channel until now. While I did not know Mac Miller personally, he was and still is one of my favorite artists ever, and his death hit me really hard, as it did with all his fans. And because of that, I just haven't felt it necessary to do a ranking video on him either, like some people have suggested. I believe this is the first time on the channel being vocal about how much I love this album. It's so good, it made Anthony Fantano make a redux of it 4 years later. In all seriousness, this album is really special to me. And while it's hard to view it outside of the context of Mac's passing, there was a month where I did. Just a single month that I was listening to this album and loving it, relating to it, and appreciating it while Mac was alive. His death put so much into context on this album where the line between artist and listener seemed to break. The amazing John Bryan was a producer on this album and the production is truly incredible. The bass lines on songs like Small Worlds, What's the Use, and So It Goes are incredible. There's a ton of beautiful, watery keys on songs like Come Back to Earth, Perfecto, and Ladders. And the drums on Conversation Part 1, Self-Care, and Jet Fuel are great. What shines the most from this album are the lyrics and performances from Mac. His singing is the best that we got at the time, only being topped by Circles. The sung choruses are really beautiful. My favorite hook on the project has to be from Jet Fuel. It's catchy, tragic, and so easy on your ears. I love the lyrical content all over the project, like on Small Worlds he has funny lyrics like,
She say that I grow below the waist and the stroke is just so PGA.
And very personal lyrics on songs like 2009 where he says,
And sometimes, I wish I took a simpler route. Instead of having demons that's as big as my house.
And probably my favorite lyrics on the album would Hurt Feelings when he says,
I'll be going through it, you just go around it.
I would get that tattooed on my forehead. This album can be uncomfortable at times. Mac takes us through his psyche and it's not too pretty. There are uplifting moments though, like Ladders, where he uses ladders as a metaphor for life. The view is more beautiful the higher you climb. The higher you get, the harder you fall, but you still have to find a way up. Maybe eventually I'll do a video on this album, but as of right now, it just doesn't feel right. Mac Miller's Swimming is one of my favorite albums of all time. Rest in peace, Mac. We miss you, buddy.
Life is good though. I want y'all to see that life is great. Your life is great too. Have a good time, man. Have some fun. Having fun is okay. Get some love in your life, whether that be another person or just loving yourself, man. Love is good. Spread love. Spread love. I'm out of here. I'll be back soon.
Welcome to Bible study. We're all children of Jesus. Kumbaya, my Lord.
You know what? I'm about to say it.
Say it.
All Things Must Pass is the best solo Beatles record. I have always felt that George Harrison was the best Beatle in general, and this album in specific was a different breed. While this isn't technically George's first solo album, he always counted it as his first, and I would agree with that considering that the two other consisted of an instrumental soundtrack and a more experimental record. This was his first traditional solo album, and what a hell of a feat. After putting out classic after classic with the Beatles, George decided to put out his own classic, with a little help from his friends. Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton, his former bandmate Ringo Starr, and even more all contributed to this project. The album is beautiful instrumentally and lyrically. George is at the top of his game with beautiful lyrics on songs like the intro I'd Have You Anytime, Beware of Darkness, the title track, and my favorite song on the album, Isn't It a Pity, where he sings some of my favorite lyrics ever. Instrumentally, the production is rich, with strings and brass on almost every song, plus what became George's signature instrument, the slide guitar. I love how chill this album is. It's spiritual and calming. It makes me want to run into the woods and disappear. Fuck! All Things Must Pass is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Hey, I tried texting you.
You're gay! I've already talked about this album in my Tyler ranking, so I'll be brief about it here. IGOR is extremely special to me. It came out as I was finishing my first year of college, and it was the soundtrack of my summer. Flower Boy left more people than ever wondering where Tyler was going to go next in his music, and while IGOR was extremely unexpected, Tyler made what I believe to be his best album to date. Songs like Earthquake, New Magic Wand, and Are We Still Friends bring us a side of Tyler we hadn't seen before. This album is filled with beautiful production from songs like Running Out of Time and Puppet. Tyler's lyrics are such a takeaway on songs like Thank You and What's Good. The aesthetic of this album has become so iconic and in my opinion is easily his best. I used to live for these videos, especially this one. I probably did this out in public like 100 times. My favorite song off IGOR is still Gone Gone. It's probably my second or third favorite Tyler song ever, and I don't think it's hard to see why. The instrumental is so pretty, the vocals are phenomenal, and that breakdown before the third verse is absolutely incredible. I was just recently gifted the limited green pressing of this album on vinyl and I've been spinning it non-stop. It's such a great project. IGOR is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Shit, we about to get educated and shit. No, I'm just saying.
I literally just talked about T-Pab a couple weeks ago and the responses to that video have been great. I'm joking. Thank you to all the normal people who watched and commented. I appreciate it. Anyway. Just like IGOR, T-Pab and the top 2 on this list I've spoken about in great detail already, so it's gonna be brief. This album is as popular as it is for good reason. Kendrick Lamar's third studio album is brazen, impactful, and fully charged. The production is jazzy, the features are phenomenal, and Kendrick's lyrical content steals the show. This album focuses on what it means to be black, focusing on the experiences many black people face, especially in the United States. It has a lot to say about self-love and self-hate, the cycle of violence and abuse many underprivileged people find themselves in. This cycle of abuse is portrayed on songs like Institutionalized, Hood Politics, and I, diving into how this lifestyle hasn't just affected themselves but generations before them as well. The production has these jazzy saxophones all over it on songs like These Walls, You, and especially For Free. My favorite song on here has to be The Blacker the Berry. It's aggressive and cutthroat. Kendrick doesn't pull any punches against anyone who's trying to turn a blind eye to the blatant racism in society. My favorite thing about this album is its unfiltered truth. It doesn't feel the need to sugarcoat things for people who haven't experienced these situations firsthand. If you want to hear me talk about this album more in depth, check out my latest ranking video. T-Pab is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Mike, you gotta stop with this jaywalking. Missing with that gay shit. What gay shit? The law?
I had an unhealthy obsession with Abbey Road when I was in high school. Like, I think there was a solid 3 months where I listened to this album in full every day. It's that good. Don't listen to what dumbasses on the internet tell you. This album is so damn popular for good reason. I'll entertain a lot of conversation over quote-unquote classic albums, but not when it comes to Abbey Road. Don't play with me. The Beatles made their fucking magnum opus and John Lennon's annoying ass was like, I quit. Like, what? Everything about Abbey Road has become iconic. The lyrics, the medley, the cover. This album has so much to offer with soothing songs like Because, Here Comes the Sun, and You Never Give Me Your Money. I sing that last song to my mom a lot. We get heavy on songs like I Want You, She's So Heavy, trippy on Octopus's Garden, and we even kill people on Maxwell's Silver Hammer. My favorite song from this album is Something. It's probably one of the most beautiful songs the Beatles, or should I say George Harrison, ever made. Frank Sinatra even deemed it the best love song ever made.
It's one of the best love songs I believe to be written in 50 or 100 years.
I got to see Paul McCartney do this song live a year and a half ago, which was really cool. The medley on the second half of the album has become notorious, and I find it insane that John Lennon didn't like the idea at first. It's one of those things that has the benefit of hindsight, and it really makes you question what they were thinking. Golden Slumbers and To Carry That Weight into the End is so good it makes me want to run into the woods and never come back. Fuck! These are more lyrics that I would also get tattooed on my forehead. Abbey Road is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Hi, liberal! Nice haircut! Did you get that haircut from the liberal store?
I haven't talked about my man Marshall in a hot minute. Probably because I get called slurs every time I do, but hey, it pays the bills. The Marshall Mathers LP is a masterpiece. It can be vulgar, disturbing, and it's absolutely dated, but I think there's much more to this album than its shock value. We dive headfirst into M's life and everything going on at the time, dealing with resentment towards his mother, anger and frustration with his ex-wife, and trying to find a way to balance fame with a normal life. A big topic on this album is his influence as an artist and people trying to blame him for the actions of kids who listen to his music. On Who Knew, he says,
Don't blame me when little Eric jumps off of the terrace. You should have been watching him. Apparently, you ain't parents.
It's very tongue-in-cheek. We see more of this on songs like The Way I Am and The Real Slim Shady. Speaking of The Real Slim Shady, talk about a lead single. The beat is infectious, and those bars? It's just a fun song. The disses are hilarious, the hook is super catchy, it's great. My favorite song on this album is still Marshall Mathers. I love how honest this song is. M talks about the struggles of fame, how people who never gave him the time of day all of a sudden are his biggest fans, and his frustrations with the music industry. The guitar on this song is awesome, the keys on the hook are great, it's an amazing song. This album has amazing features too, from Dido, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. No, No, not you. How did you get in here? The Marshall Mathers LP was my favorite album of all time for a while, but a different album took its place some time ago. Some people will say I'm crazy, some will even say I'm glazing, but Wolf is my favorite album of all time. It's so pivotal to hip-hop, Tyler's career, and my life. Funny enough, if you've seen my Tyler ranking, I don't think Wolf is Tyler's best album or even his most important. However, it's the most special to me. It's one of the many hip-hop records that got me into music in the first place. The weird instrumentals with Tyler's deep voice and amazing deliveries hooked me right in. Tyler jokes around on songs like Damo 23, Jamba, and Tamale, but becomes very sincere and serious on songs like Answer, Awkward, and my personal favorite song, Rusty. The main theme of Wolf is dissatisfaction. Despite becoming famous, Tyler feels empty. He's got money and his friends, but there's still something missing. The production on here is absolutely incredible. Songs like Slater, Beamer, and Tree Home 95 have beautiful keys, 48 Cowboy and Parking Lot have hard-hitting drums, and my favorite instrumental on the album ironically has to go to Lone, a song Tyler didn't produce but instead simply rapped over. It's not even a sample, it's just this song. It works so well as just the instrumental for Lone. While I think Flower Boy is more personal than Wolf, there's something that feels so sensitive about the album. The music videos also shine. I Fucking Hate You and Damo 23 are so fun and weird, I've watched them a million times. I've mentioned before how my favorite song on Wolf is Rusty. Tyler goes off about how people have the wrong idea of who he is. They call him a bad influence despite all the good he's done. The beat for this song is amazing. It has one of, if not the best features on the album in the forms of Damo Genesis and Earl Sweatshirt. And it has that hilarious live performance from David Letterman. I was even lucky enough to see Tyler do Rusty live 2 years ago at the Call Me If You Get Lost tour. It was such a great surprise. Wolf is so special to me, and it is without a doubt my favorite album of all time. I want to share a funny story with you. It's a little embarrassing, but I promise it makes sense. When I was 11, I started making YouTube videos with my cousins, and at the time, the top people on the website were creators like Ray William Johnson, Jenna Marbles, Ryan Higa, Smosh, Annoying Orange, and a bunch more. We wanted what they had, back when just 1 million views was the craziest feat. We made fun, dumb sketch videos filmed on a 4th generation iPod Touch, and we only ever hit like 20 subscribers in the 3 years we made videos for. But 11-year-old me never let go of that fantasy, being able to make videos about the things I like to entertain an audience. Almost 3 years and 10,000 subscribers later, you all have made that possible. Even with a totally inconsistent upload schedule, you all still managed to find your way back, and I appreciate that more than words can say. So from the 11-year-old who wished he could do this and the 23-year-old who is doing it, thank you. I love doing this, and I couldn't be happier that so many of you enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon.